Hello and welcome to the Anime Explorations podcast. My name is Alex.
I'm Tora.
I'm David.
And this is a monthly anime book club podcast, although we make exceptions for the January of each year because it is the Lunar New Year, and so we like to go celebrate the countries which do collaborative other Asian countries which do various collaborative works and are involved in the otherwise involved in the production process of anime through co-produced adaptations of anime and manga. And in this case, this month we are covering, and I had to call it audible about this partway through the month, but we'll get into that a bit later, the first 12 episodes of the K-drama adaptation of the manga Boys Over Flowers. But before that, we like to talk a little bit about news and what we've been watching. So, since there's a new anime season that has started, outside of the K-drama, what have you been watching?
Season 2 of Frieren.
Season 2 of Frieren. Sentenced to be a Hero is proving interesting. It's very much a dark fantasy. Very in the vein of Berserk. It feels very berserky. Hopefully it'll be a little more optimistic.
And we'll get to the Jujutsu Kaisen stuff eventually.
Yeah.
Oh, but we are watching Samurai Troopers.
Yes.
And that's really fun because they're making some wild swings that I really like.
I've been watching Samurai Troopers as well. Interesting coming from my position where I have seen some of it on Toonami, the original series on Toonami, but not all of it. So I don't get the full deep dive for some of the deeper cuts, but it's still fun and enjoyable nonetheless.
I watched it all on Toonami multiple times because I would remember coming home from school specifically to watch Toonami.
We've got it on DVD.
But it has been so long. It took me a full episode to realize that the director of the program is the female character from the first series.
One thing I like is that the armors are very clearly differently designed. They're working differently. So it seems to be their recreations of the originals, which were sealed away in the OVA.
I'm waiting for them to answer the question of whether the OVAs were canon or not in this new show. Because the final OVA did this wild thing where it was like, actually, these armors were evil all along. So, yeah, wait to find out.
Yeah. It's interesting. I do enjoy the character designs, how incredibly colorful the show is.
I love the art style, the heavy black outline that makes it look like comic book panels, and the neon bright colors. They're so fun.
Yeah, I've been liking that. I also have been enjoying the series, which probably has critical mass of himbos of the season. I am referring to, of course, Fate Strange Fake.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
It has so this is based on a series of novels from the creator of Durara. But set within the Fate universe and also set in the United States, which makes things very interesting. But it's also it is the United States very much in the perspective of author who has never ever been to the United States kind of situation.
Oh, yeah,
I see.
It's one of those things where...
Which United States? I mean, we're so regionally different.
That's the problem. It's that, like many foreign productions set in the U.S., there is a distinct lack of understanding of just how big we are.
I mean, they do have the good sense.
And that's not a flex. That's just fact.
Yeah,
to the show's credit, they do get a sense okay, we're sitting it in Nevada.
Okay.
In a made-up city in Nevada that is kind of that feels like they mashed up Vegas and Reno, leaning more on the Reno side, but with the terrain of outside of around Vegas.
Okay. Speaking of that area of the United States, this is not anime, but we've been enjoying Fallout Season 2 big time.
Yeah. So that's been fun watching that. I have also definitely been like lots of second seasons of shows. Still like new season of Oshi no Ko, new season of MF Ghost, new season of My Hero Academia Vigilantes, Cat's Eye restarted, that sort of thing.
Which isekai did you pick up, David, that turned out to be a boys' love show?
Oh my god, that's right.
He did not read any of the synopses. He just went right in.
I did read the synopses. It did not imply it's gonna be boys' love. It's Bean Counter.
I heard about that. Yeah. From the previews I was seeing, they were more upfront in the preview stuff coverage. I was seeing that, yes, this is a BL show. Speaking of surprise BL, though, minor twist, because also watching the new season of Anyway, I'm Falling in Love with You, and while I was watching season 1, I was like, you know, of all the guys in our leads who are romantically interested in our female lead because it's an adaptation of a shoujo manga, I'm feeling that some of the guys might be into each other too, and I'm like. And I will just say, without giving any details as to who, I am pleased to say that my gaydar is fully functional, fully operational.
Also, the BL genre is not subtle.
Oh my god.
And it's not... Okay, I don't want to say it's not slow burn, because it can be very slow burn, but it's usually straight to the smut.
Yeah. Seriously, isekai office worker, the other world's books depend on the bean counter. I'm like, okay, this is a pretty standard isekai. Okay. Why did they just kiss? Oh, and now they're sleeping together. Okay.
David's like,
to save his life.
David's like, are they all this fast? And I'm like, in my experience, yes.
I was like, okay, so that isekai I checked out. It's definitely BO. It's definitely boys' love. It's not bad. Like, I'm coming back for subsequent episodes. It was a surprise because I did not expect it.
You're right. It's not in the synopsis at all. So it's an if you know, you know thing.
I mean, the fact that it is classed as romance and there are only 2 male characters presented, that should have perhaps been a hint.
A little clue.
Oops.
Are they looking at each other or looking at you, asking you to call the police?
Police.
The police. Oh, man. That was fun.
Yeah. All right. Other than that, I think I did have a few news stories that I put in our chat.
Yep.
So, big one, well, moderately big one. Sunrise has announced that they are doing a new Armored Trooper Votoms project with Mamoru Oshii directing.
Oh.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know much about the plot except it's Witch from the Blue Witch I believe is the subtitle.
Could mean anything.
Yeah. So it could be absolutely anything. This is Votoms. Minor bummer news. So at a Q&A with Justin Savakis of Discotech Media, Animigo, and Media OCD at a recent convention, this is related to the thing where we do role-playing game related anime in August. Dominion Tank Police appears to be in permanent license hell.
No.
Specifically, so what happened is the rights holder in Japan. So we're going to do the quote. This is from something that came up in on another Discord for another anime podcast I follow, Anime World Order. I'm just going to do the quote from the chat there. Apparently the rights holder in Japan is Toshiba, but after the failure of HD DVD, the only video they deal with are corporate training videos. And They apparently refuse to acknowledge having anything to do with anime, so negotiations on the project aren't even possible. I bring this up because they're one of the earliest role-playing game books come out of Guardians of Order, with the early form of the Big Eye Small Mouth Tri-Stat system was the Dominion Tank Police role-playing game.
I think I actually have it somewhere. Probably at my parents' house still, but...
So the company is claiming that
we never did that. Don't ask about it.
Like, what? What? Weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a whole shame thing. Like, they put a lot into HD DVD, which lost to Blu-ray, because never bet against Sony.
Still, remember the days when there were competitions in the marketplace?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Continue.
So that's the big news. That's the two big news stories from the past month. And with that, let's get into this month's show, the first half of Boys Over Flowers, or as it is known in the Hungarian release, well, the K-drama version, They Are Beautiful and Rich.
Hell yeah.
This series has had a number of adaptations. So many. And so many different names for them. Like, They're Beautiful and Rich is just straight up on the nose.
That's my favorite
I honestly
one.
appreciate it. But one of the adaptations is called Meteor Garden. And from the research I did online, no one's entirely sure why. It's like, well, there was this one episode where they were looking at a meteor shower, but...
that's like the most famous one, too.
Yeah, but it's like, no one's quite sure why online. Or at least no one in the English-speaking world.
I'm sure. Yeah, so there was a manga. It's called Hanayori Dango, which refers to a Japanese aphorism about going to a cherry blossom festival to eat snacks as opposed to viewing the cherry blossoms. And this got made into a Japanese drama series, and then there was a sequel to that series later. There was also a short anime, and then it went over to Thailand, and they made Meteor Garden, and that kind of blew up all over Asia. There was a sequel to that show as well. It was also, that show specifically was also remade for the Chinese mainland. So there are two Meteor Gardens. The most recent adaptation, I think, is F4 Thailand. There was an incredibly short-lived and, by all accounts, incredibly terrible American web series adaptation called Boys Over Friends, which no one wants to talk about.
Yeah, apparently that one was supposed to be, was unpopular, was cut down to 13 episodes. And these are like web original video episodes, so they're already kind of short. And eventually production stopped after 6 episodes because it was just really bad.
There were also unofficial adaptations made in a couple of other countries, India and I want to say Singapore, but I could be wrong on that. And then, of course, this story that got adapted so many times has kind of more modern retellings. Like there's a K-drama called Cinderella and the Four Knights that is very similar that came out more recently. So let's talk about it.
Let's talk about this particular iteration.
Let's talk about the K-drama version starring Lee Min-ho. What did you guys think?
Well, I will say, to mention first, before we get started, to explain why we called an audible on doing the first half of the series. This show, the episodes are long. Each episode is an hour straight, more or less, like give or take 5 seconds. On the Netflix, watching this on Netflix, and most live action series that approach theoretically the hour mark in the United States, that I've seen in the UK, that I've seen in I haven't delved too much into other K-drama shows, tend to go closer to about 45 to 50 minutes. And I will say, without getting into plot stuff first, from a raw pacing standpoint, I think one of the places where I feel I had some problems with this show is because of that length. Not because, it's just too long a sit, but because of how they're pacing out the plot in each episodes. I repeatedly encountered points I'm like, oh, this is literally 2 episodes worth of stuff, and it feels not overpacked, but it does feel slightly rushed, because each of these things, plot beats, could have carried over a individual 45-minute live action episode and given character development, some plot point development, time to breathe. I would jump ahead a little bit here. There's a bit midway toward the series on episode 9 or 10 where there's a competition, a best 2 out of 3 sort of sport-ish competition between 2 of the members of the F4. And this is clearly something that is written and paced in a way where each competition would take probably either a volume of manga or a few chapters, and to help build tension for the final competition, the final event in this. And they do 2 of them in 1 episode. In one of these competitions, there is a lingering trauma that one of the characters has that we see briefly in flashback, but they don't expand on too much. And he just kind of gets over it without getting into why or how. And it's a moment where I'm like, if this were 3, and then with the second episode, they finished that third competition very quickly at the start of the episode. And at this moment I was watching this, I'm like, this could have been, each of these could have each been 3 episodes on their own, and have given us time to develop that trauma, to provide character development for how this character overcame it, plus setting up a few little head games he does leading into the actual event to set this installment of the competition to set things up there and help build tension. And it was, from a pacing standpoint, frustrating. And I'm not familiar enough with K-dramas to know if just a universal K-drama thing that happens, where
if I may.
Yeah.
Yeah, among fans like myself who have seen multiple adaptations, pacing is the biggest issue with this particular adaptation. And I think that I've watched a lot of K-dramas. Some of them are really good at pacing and some of them are not. It's like any other country's media, some are good and some are bad. This show is particularly egregious at giving you these long stretches with just looking at the characters' faces while music is playing in the background, or going to flashbacks of things that literally happened in the same episode. There's a lot of issues there. It's not representative of K-drama as a whole. It is definitely an issue of this adaptation.
Yeah, some of it, for my biggest issue with the pacing is the fact that it is so difficult to tell how much time is passing.
Yes.
Some things seem really compressed and others seem incredibly drawn out, and every episode is edited so that there's some sort of cliffhanger at the end of every episode. So sometimes it feels like way too much is happening, other times not enough, just so they can hit that,
dramatic moment at the end.
You got to come back to see what happens in the next episode. Yeah.
Yeah, and there is a weird uneven focus. Almost everything that happens in this adaptation did happen in the manga, but they've moved some things around and changed the order and combined a couple different plot lines, and yeah, it does feel like at times they were really stretching to meet that runtime.
Which is confusing. Yeah.
And this could be an issue with adaptation, but I just watched the adaptation of the webtoon True Beauty and it didn't have this problem. So it just kind of depends on the writing team and the choices that they make.
Yeah. Getting into the story itself and how I felt about it, it was really hard at the beginning because so many assholes breaking so many laws.
Yeah, like I mentioned in a little bit, I mentioned in our chat before this that so the series starts out actually going like a little bit more into backstory stuff than the manga does, because I've read some of the manga on the Shonen Jump app, where our protagonist John D works for a dry cleaning service, which is doing a delivery at this prestigious private university, Shinhwa High, and which is effectively run by this group of, let's just call them 4 rich assholes, called the F4, the Flower 4. And they've put out a red card on the student, which basically means it's open season to bully him. And she saves this guy from committing suicide after he's been beaten bloody.
Yeah.
This is in the K-drama version, and because of this and the PR shit show that comes afterwards, the woman who is in charge of the Shinhwa group, which runs the university and is the mother of Junpyo, one of the like sort of the de facto head of the F4, decides to give John D a scholarship, a athletic scholarship to Shinhwa High. Okay.
And this is different from the manga and from other adaptations, where her mom pushes her to apply to this elite school for her future and she gets accepted. And in other versions like Meteor Garden, it's set in a college rather than a high school. But yeah, it's really interesting that they made this choice to show this very extreme bullying right at the beginning. But then later in the show, when the female lead herself is getting bullied, in the manga, it's extremely brutal. Like, she gets knocked out and dragged behind a car. But in this adaptation, in the K-drama, she just gets, like, hit with flour or something and feathers. And, like...
Oh, don't forget the attempted rape!
That's the same in both versions.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying that's something we should not do.
But they make a point in the K-drama of saying that the male lead did not realize that's what was going to happen, whereas in the manga, it is implied that he kind of knew that's what was going to happen. So interesting change there.
I mean, they kind of needed to make that change because he is not sympathetic.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
Like, the Flower 4... like one of them is the male lead is the son of the head of the Shinhwa group. The other 3, one is the grandson of the former prime minister, whose parents were both heavily involved in politics as well. The third is personally owns the largest museum in Korea and is also an incredibly highly paid potter.
He was the heir to a respected tea ceremony family in the manga.
Yeah. And the third one has some nebulous connections to the fourth one has some nebulous connections to the mafia. So, given the connections there with like the parents of these 4 knew each other, and that's how they sort of became friends at the same kindergarten. That mafia is definitely involved in politics and in the business world.
Yeah,
probably smuggling too, given the museum connections.
Yeah. The vibe I got, I mentioned this in the chat, is like with like how very hard it goes right from the jump with again the person being beaten bloody and about to jump off the building to commit suicide, with the potential thing where if Juan D hadn't shown up, if he hadn't jumped off, he would have been beaten to death. I just went, if she hadn't been there and he died, this could have very easily shifted gears to either K-drama version of Lost Judgment, the video game, or a K-drama's version of Sukeban Deka, where it's either private investigators sent in to, like, played by handsome actor sent in to the elite private school to get to the bottom of this murder and find out the people responsible and who are too powerful that the police can't touch and courts can't touch them, or in the case of Suka Bandeka, La Femme Nikita style undercover operative working for a secret government thing to go after the people that the police and the courts can't touch.
Well, I think given what we see later on in the season and that spoilers, first bullied kid's younger brother is a character, I think we would have gotten more of a I know what you did last summer.
Also possibility there too is the I know what you did last summer Giallo sort of set up where the F4 and their allies are getting picked off one by one by a mysterious force, a mysterious person, and trying to get to the bottom of who did it, of who's doing it.
Instead, you get a completely different vibe, and you're left like kind of shaking your head, like, wait, what is happening?
Yeah, but instead we get a romance.
It feels like I don't think the show did enough to make these characters sympathetic, with the exception of Jihu, who has kind of always been presented in that very sympathetic light. He was John Dee's
the romantic soul with the violin. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. The very clear, obvious,
ironic
romantic
considering
lead.
The controversy with that actor.
Well, what controversy?
There were two big controversies that came out of the filming of this K-drama. The first is that the actor for Jihu was accused of like domestic violence, I think. And the second is that one of the actresses who plays one of the three mean girls at the high school, the character's name is Sunny. That actress ended up committing suicide, and she left a note explaining how basically incredibly corrupt the entertainment industry was for her experience and how she was exploited and abused by her manager and other people in the industry. And that actually did make some waves in the industry. And I don't know if it led to any meaningful reforms legally, but it definitely put more on people's minds the insane things that happened to these actor and K-pop trainees. And I think to some degree it's still happening because entertainment industries are very exploitative. But people all kind of expect that now, I guess. Like, that sounds terrible to say. But in the early days of the Hallyu wave, it was more like, oh, look at all these great stories that are coming out of South Korea. And nobody really thought about how they were being made.
And it's similar to some of the perception stuff that's happened around, like, or happened and is happening around with J-pop as well. With some of the intrinsic abuse that can happen within elements of the Japanese talent agency system, aggravated by the fact that the system in Japan is very secretive and very controlled. A lot of that being because the entity which set the tone for the Japanese entertainment industry and how their discourse is handled and with the press and that sort of thing was Johnny's and Associates. And Johnny's and Associates was very controlling about every aspect of their members in terms of whether or not pictures of them could be on the internet, whether or not stuff could be translated into other languages, that sort of thing. In fact, that's actually honestly one of the things that happened to the benefit of K-pop as a music genre is Japanese record labels tended to follow Johnny's lead, and that left the Japanese music talent and often acting talent, because you'd have Johnny's actors in works with other actors, and so they then block them from export. and that allowed for the spread of K-dramas and K-pop, with it having turned out that the reason that Johnny's was doing this is Johnny Kitagawa, the founder of Johnny's and Associates, had a long and storied history for the majority of his career of being a sex pest and general sexual abuser of at Harvey Weinstein levels of predation, with the difference being that Harvey got caught before he died, Johnny didn't. And Johnny's talent agency continued to work and can perpetuate his policies to preserve his legacy, until eventually news story got out through a story from the BBC. In fact, they even did a TV special on it. I'm gonna see if I can pull up the name of it real quick. But also led to a report by the UN Council on Human Rights, which Johnny's and Associates tried real hard to kill. The problem is, yes, you might be able to pressure the Japanese press into shutting up due to your lock on talent and promotional agreements and that sort of thing. You can't do that to the BBC. You can't do that to the UN. They will laugh you. They will laugh. The BBC has lawyers which will basically effectively go, well, welcome to the layer cake, son, and laugh you out the building. Once that
Can I get a huzzah for investigative journalism?
Yep.
Huzzah!
Yeah, and so that led to Johnny's dissolving as a talent agency, but we haven't necessarily had the same pushback or the same investigation of that in the Korean pop industry and drama industry as yet. And even then on the Japanese side of things, we don't know how much the dissolution of Johnny's will actually lead to reforms.
I do think there's a lot more awareness these days of what K-pop trainees go through and the kinds of insane restrictions that they are put under in exchange for being promoted. Like, most people now, if they're K-pop fans, know about, like, you have, agreements to not date for the duration of your time as a star. Like, your agency takes this much percentage. You have to spend this many hours practicing. Like, it's really, really intense and exploitative. So, yeah. This has been going on now for a long time, because the original Hallyu Wave was like in the 2000s, right? Early 2000s?
Late 2000s, I think, because when Netflix started needing a lot of new streaming content, so they started pouring money in.
It was popular before Netflix got involved, because there used to be streaming services specifically. There probably still are.
Oh, yes.
Streaming services specifically for K-dramas. And
those started in the 2010s.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, this is definitely like, I do remember like the late 2000s, you had like, okay, we need to feed the streaming libraries, and so we will, in addition to anime, we're going to start grabbing ITV shows and old BBC archive shows from the UK, and we're going to go start grabbing J-dramas we can get and K-dramas we can get. But yeah,
stuff from Taiwan, if not mainland China, because mainland China is hard to, because of the censorship.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But they're becoming more popular now in response to Netflix's arrival in the K-drama market, which has diluted the quality of K-dramas. And I can talk more on that if you want, but
we should probably finish reviewing the show before we get more into.
Yeah. So, like, I agree, like with Junpyo, like through like an episode, like, no, correction, like the contest was like episode 8 and 9, but like 9 and 10 was the point, because that's the point where Junpyo spends the night at Jwandi's family's house and helps make kimchi and various other tradition, like things that are more commonly part of Korean society that he had not
Normal family
experienced, like
stuff.
Yeah,
normal
things that you do
like,
as a family.
yeah, like he had like having a chance to experience a normal family life and getting an understanding that, oh, actually my like my family experiences are particularly kind of fucked up. Like that did a lot to humanize Junpyo very quickly, because otherwise, like before this, I'm like, I was very much at a point like I like really like I still am not really a fan of John D and Junpyo as a ship, but I now see how they were like there's actually real chemistry for them at this point, as opposed to before this where it's like these two people just hate each other. I want the only the interaction I want to see of John D and Junpyo is John D hitting Junpyo with a comically oversized hammer repeatedly.
I mean, in the manga, there's a lot of slapping and punching and kicking between them. Like
this is absolutely where the place to put in the anime or / manga slapstick would be having Junpyo be on the being the butt of the repercussions of his actions from John D, often physically.
He straight up kidnaps her. Well, has her kidnapped.
Yeah. I mean, that happens in both the manga and the anime. But yes, it very much almost feels like like in the manga. I remember reading it. I think I'll just double check. I believe in the manga the attempted kidnapping or the kidnapping that Junpyo the Tsukasa does in the manga is before the attempted rape of Makino in the manga.
Yes.
Yeah. So in the manga, that's a very that escalated quickly and went to a weird dark place moment, where it's like where Tsukasa has his guys put her in a car. She resists. They chloroform her, and then all that currently comes out of it is she gets a makeover, which is again it went to a weird dark place for a moment, but then came out of it. Whereas here it comes after the attempted rape, and it's like, oh boy,
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can add anything to that discussion. It is jarring and weird. And I think what it comes down to with the male lead, female lead ship is that eventually you learn that they're extremely similar in their approach to things. And I think the K-drama does a good job in showing this later when there's that event where he beats up her friend Gaul's boyfriend because it turns out this guy is a jerk. And she just assumes the worst, that he beat up this guy for no reason. And then when she learns the truth, they're like, okay, so just go apologize and it'll be fine. And she's like, why should I have to apologize? And it's like, you are acting exactly like he did. Like,
yeah,
you were the same.
Like that storyline, I was like, oh, like that worked for me in a very, they're failing to communicate, but failing to communicate in a rational way, in a not rational, but in a understandable way. I do also like honestly the ship I like more relationship is Yi Jeong and Gaui. Is that how it's pronounced? Yeah, they actually feel like they have much more chemistry and get along much better. It mostly
and Gaul is very grounded and kind of like, even when she's having a strong emotional reaction, she knows where it's coming from and what the problems are. Like,
yeah,
instead of just going with her feelings.
Yeah, and Yi Jeong has a reputation of being a player, but also he's not like a pickup artist type player. He is portrayed as a like actually sensitive, personable person. And so like when that relationship starts like building up, it's like, oh, he actually is interested into her. as a like into a relationship to her, and he's never really had that level of like he's an asshole because he is hanging out with all these other assholes and generally accepting of the assholishness, particularly of Junpyo. But he's also not like, but he is not in any way involved with the worst of it. All of the worst of what they do is all Junpyo all the time.
This parental drama is also terrible, to be fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I really like the character because you can see the way he's acting that he has like so much experience with Junpyo just being a toddler and having tantrums.
Flying off the handle.
So he's kind of figured out ways of talking his friend out of things without talking him out of things. Like, I think the biggest way is, when he's trying to get Junpyo to stop picking on this girl, John D, it's like, hey, the reason she's probably being mean to you is because she likes you. He's like, I'm going to just tell you something that's going to get you to stop these people from possibly killing her, or worse.
I expected Junpyo to just run with that.
I know. No, it's very much like, oh, okay, yeah, no, I get that. No, but Junpyo is a toddler. He just gets, she likes me. Well, that means I like her.
Yeah, but
that maths.
In these early episodes with all of the kind of tonal whiplash, David's looking at me like, what is this show? I can always count on him enjoying Junpyo's friends just watching. Like, this is the best tea. We're just eating popcorn. Because they're hilarious. They're always escalating shit. And it turns out that Jihu is actually the worst at that, which is hilarious to me.
Like, Jihu seems the nicest, but he really isn't.
He really isn't, no.
Like, he has this weird sadistic side to him that's like, I'm going to make it seem like I'm helping you, but I'm just helping you dig your grave deeper.
Yeah. So, I feel like the dynamic between the four boys is essentially fun, and I think that's why it's almost never changed in any of the adaptations. Like, the guys are usually pretty spot on to their portrayals in the manga, down to the point where almost every adaptation copies their signature hairstyles. Like, if you just look up the male lead and his curly hair across the adaptations and see the different ways that they've handled that across adaptations, it's amazing. There's always the curly-haired one, the lighter-haired one, the kind of normal-haired one, and the one with shaggy bangs, like, across the board.
Yeah.
And they're cute together. Like, I can see why they're friends. That makes sense. It's a pity that they all decided to be complete assholes together.
Well, I think that's another thing from This Is 4 Billionaire. This is the sons of 4 billionaires.
Yeah. And so, I think that is kind of the important distinction that makes this, like, popular with a lot of girls, is that you can understand why they are the way they are, and then the manga kind of implicitly tells you, like, you can fix this. Like,
yeah. I also see, because like looking at the manga and when it came out, because the original manga came out in like 1992,
late 90s.
Yeah. Like, I can see how this spun off a lot of other manga based, or like shoujo manga, but also just general romance manga based around like these elite wealthy private schools, and but which also mellowed out the characters to various degrees. Like, without Boys Over Flowers, the manga, we would not have Oran High School Host Club, which is also elite private school with a bunch of hot guys together, one of whom is a absolute man toddler, and various other archetypes, but who are which lend themselves to I can fix them, because these are their own traumas, but they are also none of them as utterly toxic as the F4 are. And that I definitely feel like that's something that's universal across adaptations. So the F4 are toxic at a level at the start of the series, especially, where all of these guys are potentially, like, we're not for our female lead and her other friends getting dropped into their lives could potentially all end up getting under criminal indictment as adults.
There's a later K-drama that I mentioned, Cinderella and the Four Knights. It's actually up on Netflix if anyone's interested, where basically the entire premise is based on this idea. Like there's these 4 young, hot, rich assholes, but in this case, someone outside, like I think it's a family member, is specifically bringing in a good-hearted young woman to try and change these men. And damn, it works. So that's kind of a fun twist on the genre.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mentioned that the Taiwanese adaptation Meteor Garden moves all of the action to college level instead of high school level. And while that does go some way toward fixing the tonal whiplashes, it also kind of, well, okay, Meteor Garden's a bit mellowed out in a lot of ways. Whereas I would say Boys Over Flowers is a little more faithful to the manga. But once you move things up to a college level, although it helps with the tonal whiplash, it also takes away a lot of the, yeah, this makes sense because we're dealing with teenage brains sort of stuff. And so, I mean, there's trade-offs there. I think what ends up being the most relatable in the end is that Jeonbi and Junpyo are both really immature, and they are coming from a place where they're acting out of their emotions, but they don't really like interrogate what their own emotions are and what they're feeling until it's too late to communicate that. And I think that's true to a lot of teenagers' experiences. Like you're just feeling a lot of things and you don't really know what's going on until one of your friends is like, obviously you're in love with this person. And then they're like, oh, you know.
Yeah. Like there's a bit in the last, like in episode 12, the last of the ones that we watched for this month, where Juandi is given a one-of-a-kind amulet by necklace by Junpyo, and the mean girls steal it and lie and tell Juandi, oh yeah, they found it at the cafe at the top of the mountain where you were at earlier, and they're hanging on to it and it's waiting for you. And there's this massive snowstorm going on, and Juandi's decision is, oh, I've hurt Junpyo, we had an argument over this and that sort of thing. I'm going to walk up the mountain in a snowstorm to get it back. And for most adults, even like college-age adults, they would have the reasonable, I would like to think that they have enough mental development to go, I will wait until the morning, take the ski lift off, and get it that way. They will hang on to it till the morning. Whereas Juandi's like, nah.
Fair to John D, she was out looking for it and did not see the news story that a blizzard was coming. So for her, it's just, okay, I'm going to have to walk up this really annoying mountain.
Yeah, but walking up a snowy mountain at night is not a great idea regardless of weather conditions.
Absolutely not. I am just saying, in this one particular case, it was less dangerous. It was more dangerous than she knew.
Now, I will tell you that this is a plot point or a trope that comes up constantly in romantic K-dramas. Person A is given an item by person B, thus imbuing the item with significance. Person A loses it or throws it away in a moment of rage, and then they go to extreme lengths to get it back. And then person B sees the extreme lengths that they are going to get it back, and they go, oh, they really do care about me. And there's a lovely little reconciliation moment. This happens a lot. Okay, so
I don't think that particular trope is unique to K-dramas.
It's not. It just happens to come up a lot.
Yeah. There's some supporting characters we still haven't talked about yet. We should talk about. Let's talk about Jeondi's family, her parents and her younger brother. I'll admit, for like the first half of the series, I found them tremendously grating. And basically it wasn't until the back half of these episodes, with when Junpyo comes over, with when Junpyo's mom comes in and tries to bribe them into saying, hey, your daughter should not have any contact with my son anymore, and how her mom reacts to that, how her mom then reacts to when Junpyo's mom retaliates, leading to her to dad getting kidnapped by loan sharks and that sort of thing, where it's like, okay, like that did a lot to like, okay, like we've had this grating like attitude with them earlier. Now we've got this moment to like, okay, now we've humanized them to a degree where like, yes, your family is annoying, but they do love you and care about you, kind of thing.
They're a lot, but they stick together. Mostly.
and make for that good, because once we get that actual, or like the contrast with Junpyo's family becomes more significant to the plot, then that it means more there.
It's taken off.
Yeah. Also, the mom is like that particular character archetype is all over K-dramas.
Yes, that's true.
Like that not just the character archetype, like even that exact hairstyle is often worn by this archetype going. Like I was immediately reminded of, I think it's the aunt in You're Beautiful.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Who is the exact same character. I initially thought they were played by the same actress.
There's definitely like, and this is kind of cultural. Like I'm hesitant to speak to cultural aspects of cultures that are not my own, but having watched a bunch of K-dramas and talked to people who lived in Korea for a while, it's cultural that like the older you get in Korean society, the more power you have in terms of being able to say what you want and do what you want, because the elder is to be respected, right? So people can say and do outrageous things to those who are younger than them, and the younger people are expected to just go along with it. I'm not saying that they do. I'm saying that there is a cultural expectation that they should. And so you often get mom or aunt characters who are really crazy, and then on top of them, grandparent characters who are crazier still. As an archetype in the media. I'm not talking about real life.
Yeah, which also fits with I gotta say, of the female supporting cast, Gayul is great. Potentially the GOAT though, Junhee, Junpyo's sister, older sister.
This character is also great in the manga.
Like the moment that we're like she has absolutely none of Junpyo's bullshit.
She's like, I'm not taking this. It is explained in the manga, and I think they briefly reference it in the drama, that she essentially raised Junpyo. Because their mom obviously has like no maternal instinct whatsoever. And that she would keep him in line with physical violence. And it's like, yep, that tracks.
Yeah, so like that, like when she like shows up and after like Junpyo stormed off in his car, and she like she like shoves Dwandi into the passenger seat of her Lambo, and they just go down the road, have a car chase, and then she proceeds to smack the crap out of Junpyo with a bokken. Like, okay.
What?
My brother's acting uppity again? Smack!
One thing I really, really dislike about this show is that there is no supervision from any adult. Like, there is only one teacher we've seen, and that's the white guy who teaches English to the F4. That is the only teacher in the entirety of this school.
Yeah, like, there's a president who's there for a hot second. Just to get railroaded.
Yeah, Junpyo and his sister go on a car chase down a Korean highway, and there's no police. Like, there are adults, but they don't do anything to hold these people accountable at all.
And from a Western perspective, from my perspective, the pressure that is put on the female lead by her family to marry rich is really unconscionable. But I think obviously it's not my culture. It might be different in Asian cultures where the family unit and doing things for the family unit rather than yourself is more of a virtue.
Well, the thing is, I don't think that's a,
but
Eastern Western thing. I think that's a everyone else American thing. Because they're
so individualistic here.
Because, there is that, fidelity to, adults, the honor given to, your grandparents, your parents, in pretty much every other society. Specifically thinking Mexican and Italian.
But in like every adaptation, we see her basically killing herself working 4 or 5 different jobs to help her family out. And during the scene when Junpyo's mother is visiting the family and essentially bribing them to stay away from her son, and the mom pours salt on her head, I was like, yeah, go mom! And then as soon as Madam President leaves, the mom is like, we'll get so much more money if you just marry this kid. Like, now this is tempered later by the fact that mom does go back to Madam President to apologize and beg her to stop persecuting their family. But to my Western sensibility, it's like, how dare you put that much pressure on your child, like to save everyone in your family? That's not cool.
Yeah. I think overall, I'd say I did not enjoy watching the show at the beginning. I felt it was a slog to get through because I just felt almost all of the characters were completely reprehensible. It did get easier, characters became more
nuanced,
law-abiding.
I don't know about law-abiding.
Okay, they stopped committing quite so many felonies.
There you go.
As opposed to, okay, we're taking you on a trip. I need to tell my parents. Oh, I told them you're sleeping over at your friend's house. By the way, we've also kidnapped your friend, and we're going to another country. It's like, I'm taking you to a deserted island for a delightful date. And also, if you don't say yes, I will hunt you for sport. It's the implication. It's like, oh my God. I was like, if she says no, are you just going to leave her in this place?
I think this is also part of the appeal when you're a girl, is that when you see the kind of unexpected acts of kindness that Junpyo does, like making sure she can video chat with her family so that they can reassure each other that they're safe, or sending like a bunch of stuff to her family specifically after they've had a date together so her family can also enjoy the same sushi that she enjoyed. You feel like, you feel so special because you're like, I'm the only one that they're doing this for. I have made them a better human being with my presence. And, I'm not a girl anymore. I can see through this stuff. But when I was younger, I was like, oh, like, he's not bad after all. And, now that I'm an adult, it's like, this doesn't really cancel out anything.
That is classic manipulation. That is classic love bombing manipulation.
Well, I don't think he's doing it manipulatively. I think the strongest point...
Maybe not intentionally, but that doesn't change the fact that that his actions are deliberately eliciting a specific reaction from her, and it succeeds. That is classic manipulation. May not be...
Everyone does that when they're in a relationship, though.
Yeah, but it's a little skeezy this way.
I think the strongest part of this adaptation is Lee Min-ho, because he plays Junpyo as just such a lovable doofus.
Yeah,
you're like, this kid is not the brightest, but he's trying. God damn it!
Like the fact that he keeps getting aphorisms wrong.
So cute.
Except for the one time he gets it right, and all of his friends are like, "Oh my God, he said it right!"
Yeah, and like by the end of by the end of these 12 episodes, like I really got the sense from Miho's performance of him successfully carrying out, like, showing Junpyo's development as a person, but also just in general, the way he plays. Because occasionally Junpyo absolutely is the butt of a joke for an extended period. Some cases for like a whole like full hour episode is just Junpyo getting dunked on, and and he plays that very well. So
for me, it's the little things Minho does where like he can't not show how he's feeling, and he's like trying to be so cool all the time, but he just can't pull it off. Like,
yeah, the fact that he is being played so childlike does a lot to redeem him, because you can see this is someone who is in a state of arrested development. He's never been allowed to be an adult. He's always been the child. He's always been treated as a child who gets whatever they want, which of course is doing more to hold it back him, becoming an adult.
Child whose mom explicitly says he does not need friends.
He should not that so he does not need friends. It's that he should not have friends.
That's so messed up.
Like, yeah. Which just begs the question: what was her childhood like?
There is a tendency in K-dramas about the chaebol class, or the really, really rich heirs to like these conglomerates, to portray it as a completely separate world. And I think that's for good reason. I think a lot of the time the rich are living in a completely separate world from us. And there's so many things that like are just incomprehensible from either side unless you were really willing to sit and take the time to think things through from another perspective. And I think the drama does a good job of showing this in some of the later episodes. Like, she tells him, I know you want to just give us money and solve the problem, but you can't. That doesn't actually help us. Like, you got to just sit back and watch me work all these jobs to support my family, because this is what we need to do in this moment. He doesn't get it. He's like, why can't I just throw money at this problem? And it's not because he's not trying to understand. It's just because it's so far outside his understanding.
I think also she could have just said, because you can't outspend your mom.
Maybe, yeah.
Where do you think your money comes from?
Yeah. I think if I'm remembering correctly, there's drama coming up later where she cuts off his cards and stuff, but I could be thinking of a different show. But yeah. There's this, I think like one of the themes of the show is pride, right? Because like her pride is what makes her stand up to him in the first place. Although it's kind of framed as like, it's not so much pride as a sense of justice. But then later on, it definitely becomes more about pride when she's like, look, you can't fix all my problems with money. I need you to apologize to me. I'm not going to apologize to you, like that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the most impactful moment, or one of the most impactful moments of their relationship, is when she has lost the necklace, right? Like you were talking about at the ski resort. And I'm basically yelling at her from the couch, like, just tell him. And so she initially lies, and then he's like, come on. And she's like, okay, yeah, I lost it. I fucked up. That was my bad. And then he's like, we're expecting explosive temper from him because that's all we've gotten from him in the past. But instead, he's just disappointed, and that's worse. And they both know it. And she's like, I have genuinely fucked up this time.
So I'm going to hike up this mountain at night.
Yep.
As you do.
As you do. Will the mean girls face any consequences for this at all? No, they will not. Nope.
Nope.
No one gets consequences ever.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This, like, no, none of these high school students have received any form of consequences outside from other high school students, and the mean girls in particular appear to be absolutely Teflon. So, so like they're not going to get any crap for this. Either that or like the last episode, they're going to get absolutely Sondheimed in the in the Into the Woods kind of sense.
Yeah. I got it.
Because Stephen Sondheim, as a writer of musical theater, likes people to get spectacularly over the top comeuppance, whether it's Into the Woods, whether it's Sweeney Todd, what have you. When they get what's coming to them, they get what's coming to them.
And it's so satisfying.
So yeah, so either they're going to get away scot-free or they're going to get Sondheim to the third act. And I'm not expecting them to get Sondheimed. So
at most, we'll get a shot of them just upset because Junpyo and John Dee's relationship has stood the test of time.
Yeah. So we've covered most of our thoughts on the first half of Boys Over Flowers. We will definitely finish the series out next year for our continuation of Lunar New Year, other Asian media month. But next month is February, which means it is Fate-uary. And which means we're on to our next installment or next route of Fate Stay Night with the anime adaptation of Unlimited Blade Works.
I like this one. This is probably my favorite one so far.
This is Unlimited. I mean, we will talk more about this, but Unlimited Blade Works, the series, as opposed to the movie, which did its best to adapt the same material that it took 25 episodes to get to, is very much a sequel to Fate Zero. The anime is very much a sequel to the anime Fate Zero, and it should be viewed as such.
I love Fate Zero.
Oh god! Oh, Alex, you can't see. I got a Fate Zero poster.
Nice.
I was at Things from Other Worlds, and I just saw it, and I'm like, you know what? I'm grabbing that. That's awesome.
Yep. Whereas I'm just going to have to settle with my copy of Unlimited Blade Works being autographed by the Japanese voice actress for Rin.
Nice.
Cool beans.
All right.
So that's what we'll cover next month. I will have links in the doobly-doo for the relevant Just Watch page for where you can watch it. Crunchyroll, occasionally like that, because it's an Aniplex thing, it tends to also get picked up on like Amazon Prime Video and Hulu and Netflix. So it'll be available in bunch of other places in your area. Link will be in the show notes for where you can watch that. And that will be next month's anime. In the meantime, if you'd enjoyed what you listened to and wish to help support covering our hosting costs, please consider backing the Patreon at patreon.com/count0or. Patreon backers get access to edited versions of all of my Let's Plays, of my video essays, of my blog posts, up to 1 week in advance. Also, normally the show, we're cut a little close this month because I overestimated the amount of television we'd be covering.
It's a long show.
Yeah. And so, but normally we get this podcast episodes out about a week early, week before, for backers, week before they go live. But either way, Patreon backers will also get this episodes ad-free. I'm trying to get together the full backlog of the show on the Patreon, so you have so backers get a dedicated ad-free feed of the entire backlog of the show. And also, if doing the monthly subscription thing is not your thing, doesn't fit your budget, that's just fine. I have a Ko-fi tip jar at ko-fi.com/count0. Anything you can contribute helps. And just finally, subscribe on whatever the platform. I mean, if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. And rate and review on the podcatching platform of your choice, and tell your friends if you enjoy the show. It really helps.
Thanks, guys.
See y'all later.
Bye.